I, 35 male, have been married to Lisa, 28F, for 3 years, together 7. A year ago, I fell deeply in love with Amy, 24F, and had been planning to end my marriage for her. I know it's terrible and not what my wife deserves, but we were the real thing. 2 weeks ago, she had an allergic reaction when we were getting food after work, but she used her EpiPen and seemed mostly okay afterwards. She usually gets checked at the hospital after a reaction, but I asked if I could take her home and she could get her friend to drive her there because my wife was expecting me back. All I know is that she had a secondary reaction that evening and died. I didn't even find out about it until the following Monday, through a work email. It has been eating me up ever since, and I will never forgive myself for not sacrificing an hour of my time to possibly save her. I sent some childish messages to Amy when I didn't hear from her over the weekend because I thought she was angry I didn't take her to the hospital. I am thankful she never saw them and ashamed that I assumed the worst. Our relationship was great and the highs far outweighed the lows, but I have always hated being ignored and I lose my cool when it happens. It is not a regular occurrence and I would have more than made it up to her. Yesterday at work, HR and legal were in the CEO's office all day and my manager ended up canceling our project meeting because he was with them all afternoon. I was on edge, but an affair isn't exactly a corporate crisis and I thought something would have already happened if anyone knew. I am now 99% certain it was about me. A few hours ago I received a message from Amy's phone which said, "This is Amy's brother, Tom. I want you to know it was me." I tried to call but it went straight to voicemail, and none of my messages have been delivered. I tried to call my manager more times than I should have and he sent a message saying please don't contact me until Monday morning. I can't discuss anything with you right now. So it looks like my universe is going to collapse. I am going to be fired and my wife will definitely find out why. All I can do is hope that Amy's brother only showed them the messages from that weekend, and they were bad enough. I have no family except my wife and daughter and nowhere to go. All of my friends are either people I've met through my wife, or my colleagues. On Monday, everything I've spent over a decade working towards disappears. I can't stop it. I can't talk to anyone about it. So here I am. I know cheaters are the devil so I'm not expecting sympathy, but this is making my chest hurt and I need to get it out there. Tom has real Elena Tyrell energy. True king shit. Oop, Amy was not a child. She was an adult woman who was capable of making decisions for herself. We had every intention of building a life together as equals. Oop, those arguments went both ways, and there are plenty of messages as well as my actions which show I treated her extremely well. Why would she commit to building a life with me if I was horrible to her? She had all the power. Oop, she had months and months of evidence of our relationship, including intimate images of us together. I may have been higher up at work, but it is completely fair to say she was the one with the power. My life is about to be ruined and she could have pulled the trigger anytime she wanted. I also didn't actually threaten her. It was a stupid comment about what would happen if our relationship came out, as well as another I incorrectly believed she was having. It's not exactly a threat to remind someone that sleeping with multiple managers in a niche industry isn't a smart career move if it comes out. Oop, you seriously think losing her job is the worst thing that would have happened if it came out she had a habit of sleeping with managers to get where she was? Her career would have been over right there with mine. Just because I was more senior in the business it doesn't mean I was in a position of power. She could have taken us both down just like I could have. We were on completely equal footing. You're desperate for her to be some weakling who just mindlessly went along with it all. She was an intelligent and capable person who signed up to us navigating this situation together. We were a team. Oop, surely getting a promotion she didn't deserve was an example of her power and not mine? I had faith she would grow into the role because she assured me she would. She took the lead in that whole situation. Like I said, my career was in her hands too, but I had much more to lose. I was more established in my career, have a wife and child, own a home etc. Power was never a consideration between us, we were always equals. Oop, is buying your partner a birthday present rewarding them too? Is taking your partner on holiday just them cashing in their knob-gobbling air miles? Showing care and support to someone you love isn't transactional, and it doesn't happen because you owe them one. Everything I did for Amy I did because I loved her. Oop, I never blackmailed her with a promotion. I shouldn't have set it up in the first place and it wasn't going to last. Our messages show me telling her honestly when she first brought it up that I didn't think she had the skills or experience to make it work. She gave me lots of assurances and basically talked me into it. That is reflected in our messages. Did bring it up a few times in arguments, but I wasn't suggesting that she would be demoted because of problems in our relationship. It was always because of her performance in the role and the way she secured it. Obviously that wasn't an appropriate arena to raise what were real issues that didn't relate to our romantic involvement. Update 1. 2. Am suffering in the wake of my infidelity and unprofessional behavior as I knew I would. I understand that it is an appropriate outcome and I am taking full accountability. I was suspended from work on Monday, and I'll probably be fired sooner than I thought. I'd hoped to be able to save money as HR built their case, but it looks like Amy's brother basically performed the entire investigation for them. After an excruciating 3-hour run through of everything they had, I spoke to the founder, and he recommended the solicitor I am now using. The issue is that the company has to come down hard to protect themselves, because even though Amy's family doesn't have much chance of a claim, any suggestion of a cover-up could cause damage regardless. The founder still thinks my offer to pay them back will keep it out of court, and some more information has come to light, so it's not certain I won't be prosecuted, but I'm quietly hopeful. I can't afford to keep the solicitor if this goes much further, especially with a divorce on the horizon. Things are not good with my wife. I'm still committed to making this as easy as possible for her, but I had to draw a line when it came to my daughter. When I got home from being unceremoniously escorted out of my office, she already had a bag packed for me. She wouldn't let me wait at the house until my daughter was back, she wouldn't let me check I had everything I needed, she wouldn't let me take the car, and she didn't care that I had nowhere to go. I spent 2 nights in a hotel, then went back when she refused to let me see my little girl. She tried to stop me, but we own the house jointly and it was my only option. My wife has family she could stay with, but she won't leave our daughter here and she's absolutely not taking her, so we're at a stalemate right now. I'm keeping out of her way as best I can, which I appreciate is the least I can do. The Amy situation is quite difficult to talk about, and a lot hasn't sunk in yet. It turns out that she didn't love me as much as I loved her, if at all. Her brother sent me images of her talking to her friends about me, and it's hard to believe they came from the person I loved, but they are real. Sorry to those who were heavily invested in me being a predatory abuser, but she and her friends had a good laugh about her manipulating me for money and a promotion. The role came with a big pay rise, and it looks like her plan was to treat it as free cash, then go work with one of her friends when it fell through. She knew I'd come under scrutiny whenever she messed up and assumed I'd keep stepping in to save her. She was right. Obviously I am completely humiliated. I was planning to give up everything to build a life with her, and she was treating me like a joke the whole time. My feelings are complicated, so please don't feel entitled to any expansion on this, but I no longer feel guilt over her death. Reddit acted like I kept her hostage whilst she begged for help. What actually happened was that I asked if she could ask her friend to take her to the hospital because I had to go home. She said that was fine because she needed to get some clothes back from her anyway, and I dropped her off as normal. Ultimately she was an adult who had a better understanding of her medical needs than I did. I still don't know what happened between us saying goodbye and her death, but whatever it was, it had nothing to do with me. I'm sorry for her family's loss, but I bear no responsibility for her passing. After Amy's messages to her friends were passed around, a few people quietly reached out with words of support. I assumed everyone would write me off like Reddit did, as an abuser and predator. Now it's clear that Amy was using me. They see me as a fool who had then lost it all. It's beyond humiliating, but I have learned I'd rather be pitied than despised, and it improves my legal position with work. They're small mercies, but I'll take what I can get. I remain filled with regret, and I will have learned many lessons by the time I get through this. I may have been deceived, but I am a grown man who made my choices, and I take full responsibility for them. TL, Doctor, I am currently suspended from work, but will certainly be fired. It's unclear whether I am in serious legal trouble. My wife and I are not navigating the end of our relationship brilliantly, but for my daughter's sake, we will get better. Amy turned out to be a better manipulator than she was a project manager, and her brother outed her whilst trying to ruin me. Life is deservedly hard right now, but I'm working through it. The founder still thinks my offer to pay them back will keep it out of court. Oop, my expense account largely funded my relationship with Amy. It wasn't unusual in the company we worked at, but now there is a potential scandal. They're suddenly shocked and appalled by my actions. I want to make this as easy as possible on my wife. I have certain legal rights I was willing not to use in order to make this easier for my wife to navigate, which is absolutely appropriate given that my actions caused the entire problem. Living in my home was the most relevant one. I left immediately and by choice, and the only thing I asked for was regular access to my daughter until we made a formal arrangement. She didn't provide that access, and she gave a stupid and petty reason for not doing so. I had one single, solitary, and perfectly reasonable boundary, and she didn't respect it. Now I use the right I always had, to live in the house I own. I understand that I'm not exactly in a sympathetic position, but if you're a genuinely reasonable person, I don't think this is one for the reasons op is a bad person list. I didn't refuse to leave the house. I left willingly and immediately and had no intention of going back, despite the fact that I own the home jointly. I had one condition, and it was completely reasonable, that I be allowed to spend time with my daughter, regularly. My wife declined, so I was left with two choices: go without seeing my daughter indefinitely, or move back into the house I have every right to occupy. Easiest decision I've ever made. In short, no. My wife and her feelings are entirely separate from our daughter. I made it clear I didn't expect access to our home, that I would only contact her about our daughter, and that as long as I had reasonable unrestricted access, she would remain in the driving seat throughout this whole process. She fell at the first hurdle and denied me access, so things have changed and I make no apology for that. My solicitor told me very early that being completely truthful would benefit my case. Do you know what I did in response to that? I was completely truthful, because it was made clear to me that it would make my life easier. My wife was basically told the thing, only me seeing my daughter is what would have put her in the best position. She chose to go against that, and now she's living with the results of that. I am not going to be vindictive at any point here, because I am well aware that the situation is largely of my own making, but I am going to make it extremely clear that my child will not be weaponized against me. My wife's discomfort is not a consideration in this one very specific area. Oop, you're asking the wrong question. She doesn't have to trust me with my daughter, because she is not the sole decision maker on that front. If she had genuine concerns about me being around our child, she could launch an emergency petition for sole custody. She won't though, because she knows she doesn't have a leg to stand on. Now on to second story. Caught my boyfriend, after 3 years of bliss, in a cocaine-fueled one-night stand, now questioning the foundation of our relationship. I, 30F, have been in a seemingly happy relationship for a little over 3 years. My boyfriend, 32 male, is wonderful. We have lived talk, ether for about 2 years, rarely ever argue, we have so much in common and honestly he is my best friend. I love him and know that I want to marry this man. He flew to his hometown yesterday, I flew down this morning and we are both catching a plane in the morning to go on vacation together for 6 days with 2 other friends of ours. Everything is paid for and cancellations are not possible this last minute. I've been in our hotel room bawling my eyes out and dry heaving for the past 2 hours. I Ubered from the airport and when he came down to help me with my bags I immediately knew something was wrong. He looked like hell and was visibly nervous. Once we got into the hotel room he started tearing up and told me he had something to tell me, that he knows I'm going to leave him but he can't keep a secret like that from me. He explained how he and a few of his childhood friends all went to a bar and he ran into a girl he went to college with. They never had sex but did go on a few dates almost 7 years ago. She invited him and a group of other people back to her house where they all proceeded to get drunk and do cocaine all night. I know about the occasional cocaine use, and just catch up. Basically he and the college friend ended up having sex and then she drove him to our hotel early this morning. He hasn't talked to her since and swears that it means absolutely nothing. He said she's not even attractive and that he was just fucked up. He says it was a big mistake and is begging for my forgiveness. A huge part of me wants to ask for every last detail but I'm scared to know that there is potentially more to the story. I don't know. I want to forgive him and enjoy our time away but I truly don't know how. Are there such occasions where you really can't help yourself and it really was a spur of the moment mistake? Or is there something hidden beneath the surface and my happy relationship has been anything but this whole time? Update 1. After basically begging him he told me the name of the girl and I reached out to her. I called her and put her on speaker so we all three could talk. Unfortunately, I'm learning the situation was much worse than the story originally told and I will be on a flight home in a few hours. This other girl is not unattractive. The sex was not protected. He and her had been flirty the entire 3 hours before they finally had sex. Hand holding, sitting on his lap, making out a lot, he gave her oral sex and basically the sex lasted quite a while with various things being done. Not like the coked out unpleasant quickie I was told about. I feel like I want to die. Update 2. You guys have helped more than you could imagine. I flew home this morning, took a nap, packed some of my things, took our cat and am staying with a friend for the 6 days he's away. He didn't want to go on the trip but I insisted. I told him if he has ever loved me, to please give me the time and space I deserve. Unfortunately, our relationship is broken beyond repair. The reasoning behind why he cheated doesn't matter because the fact remains that he did. That in all of our time together I've never even considered or wondered about another man and the first chance he got, he chose to have unsafe sex with someone else. I believe that he loves me and quite possibly is sorry. I don't however believe that he has any respect for me or our life together. I don't know that I'd ever forgive him or trust him again. No respect and no trust means no relationship. We do have a shared life so the ending of this relationship is not quite as easy as me packing and leaving and not looking back. We have shared accounts, both of our names on our lease, shared phone plans and car insurance. Basically, the next few weeks are going to be rough. Update 3. I have no idea if anyone cares about the outcome of this situation but it is almost cathartic to write it all down so I'm doing it anyway. I finally have a calm moment to sit at my computer and compose a logical thought. Upon me returning home he and I had very little communication at my request. I had originally planned to spend the week at my friend's home to process this life-altering event but early this afternoon he texted me telling me he was home. Now, some people might think that shows a lot of effort on his part, that he's remorseful and rather than enjoy his vacation he flew home to talk. Perhaps I would feel that way too except I asked for space. I told him that if he had ever loved me he would give me time alone. He couldn't even give me that. I agreed to meet with him at our apartment to talk. I only wanted to talk about and sort out all the details. Our finances, home, etc. We agreed on paying to break our lease, to stay on the insurance policy and phone plan together for now but unenroll auto pay so we're able to make our payments separately. I also asked for him to reimburse me for what I paid towards the vacation from hell. I wanted to wrap things up enough in that moment to where I would have to see and speak to him as little as possible. I know that some communication in the future will be inevitable but right now I can't deal with it. I told him he can stay in our apartment until we have to leave. I packed some more of my things and left. I don't know if he looked upset or if he was crying. I honestly barely heard anything he had to say because I was so enraged at the person in front of me, a complete stranger. I don't know if the past 3 years were all a lie, I don't know if he has cheated before or that he would cheat on me again. All I am sure of is that he was capable of lying and cheating now. I refuse to be another cautionary tale of a woman who loved someone more than herself so she forgave a cheater only to be cheated on again. There is a big difference between guilt and remorse. Oop, thank you. It's so incredible to feel like you're actually being seen for who you are because situations like these can allow you to question that. This has been a huge reminder. I'm grateful. Update 4. Thank you to everyone that has commented or reached out after my last 2 posts. I first want to say that I am doing okay, even after what I am going to say in this post. I'm okay. I am going to attempt to make this as brief as possible because I can't give this situation any more of my heart or energy. But it will most likely be long. Here we go. I am all moved out of the apartment, my things going into storage because I am still staying in my friend's home for the time being. This breakup has proved to be financially burdensome, but somehow money has managed to be the least stressful part of this ordeal. It turns out that I never knew the man I shared my life with for the past 3 years. My ex and I ended up having a conversation on the last day of us moving out. He seemed apologetic and sad and asked if we could talk. He said that he loves me, that he will always love me, and he wants us to stay together. He apologized and said he would stop bullshitting, no more lies. I didn't feel the need to have a conversation, but I did have just one question. I asked him why? I never could have imagined in a million years that he would tell me that the reason he cheated was because I miscarried 6 months ago. Especially because of how supportive and loving he was during that period in our lives, I felt blindsided and betrayed. He said that he knows that it was not my fault, that there was nothing I could have done differently, but it had caused him to resent me. That he was angry. He said he knew how this sounded, which is why he never talked to me about it. He didn't want to hurt me, I of course at this point felt sick. My heart hurt in ways I never knew possible. Even the death of my father did not hurt in ways his words and actions were hurting me. Here is this man that I have unconditionally loved and supported for over 3 years. I was his biggest cheerleader in life, encouraged him to be his own person and to still live his own life. I wanted him to be happy. We never went to bed mad at each other, we never called each other names, we never not kissed each other goodnight or goodbye in the morning. Our relationship seemed great, and yet he's telling me for the last 6 months he has resented me, borderline hated me at times. He admitted to downloading Tinder and chatting with women over the last 6 months. He swore that it never became sexual up until the night he cheated, and that was only because they had history. I have no clue if that is true. Honestly, I don't care whether or not it is. The cheating is minimal compared to the words he just spoke. We were both crying and I handed him my keys for him to turn in. I gave him a hug and told him that he needs therapy and that I never want to speak to or see him again. I have a therapy appointment next week and will start to work on healing. I am looking at potentially getting a loan so I can get out of anything left that we have shared. I also want to look into moving to a different city, but that is still up in the air. I have changed my phone number and blocked him everywhere. There was never a chance of him and I getting back together, and this just solidifies my decision. This will most likely be my last post on the subject, but I once again thank each and every one of you. I never could have imagined in a million years that he would tell me that the reason he cheated was because I miscarried 6 months ago. He said that he knows that it was not my fault, that there was nothing I could have done differently, but it had caused him to resent me. That he was angry. Update 5. I thought my last update would really be the last, but a lot has happened in such a short amount of time. I figured I could close this chapter with a neat little bow. First, I want to say thank you to each and every person that commented or messaged from either post. The outpouring of love is more than I could ever have imagined receiving from strangers. I see so many posts on here with much worse stories, and I don't know what I did to deserve the love and support, but I am eternally grateful. Second and finally, me and my ex have not talked. There is absolutely no way for him to reach me directly, as I ended up moving in with a different friend for the time being. He does not know about this. He still thinks I am at friend A's home and communicates with her if there is anything that needs to be said in regards to business matters. She does not allow him to talk about anything personal, and if he does, she does not pass it along. We have zero things connecting us at this point. In my last post I talked about possibly moving cities, and well, that happened. I was offered a job I had been trying to get for quite some time, and the position finally opened up. I have been working from home for about a week, will work from home for another week, and then I move. Rhonda, Kitty, is probably not going to be too thrilled, but we have a vet appointment for some kitty meds to hopefully ease the transition. She's top priority, always. I love my new job, I love my friends, and I love where my life is headed. I wish nothing bad for my ex and have no ill will towards him, and truly hope he can find peace in his life. Often what we lose is nothing compared to what we gain, it's just getting past our human ego and being able to see it.